It started with a sound that could make any early riser jump out of bed, a sharp crack echoing through the dawn silence, followed by the metallic screech of bumper-scraping asphalt. I ran to the driveway, coffee still in hand, and there it was. My trash can shattered again, debris scattered like confetti across the concrete. And there she was, Brenda Whitmore, my self-appointed neighborhood enforcer, rolling down her pearl-white Escalade window, flashing that insincere, fake concern. Grin. "Oh dear, I hope you weren't too attached to that old thing," she said, voice saccharine and mocking. "Old thing? I'd bought that trash can a week ago for $23 at Home Depot." I stayed calm, picking up soggy cereal boxes and coffee filters as my kids, Emma, 16, and Tyler, 14, peered from the window, half embarrassed, half amused. That first week, it happened 3 more times, every Tuesday morning at 6:15 sharp. Rumbling engine, crushing plastic, silence as she drove away. By Friday, suspicion turned into certainty. Brenda wasn't clumsy. She was deliberate. My elderly neighbor, Mrs. Olivia, confirmed it quietly, her accent heavy but precise. She drives close on purpose, plenty of room on the other side. I tried reasoning. "Brenda, can we talk about the trash can?" Her smile froze in place. "Marcus, perhaps you should consider timing adjustments for placement. Streets are designed for normal-sized vehicles." Timing adjustments? As if there was a magical hour when the garbage truck didn't need access. That night, I dove into property rights, HOA bylaws, and municipal ordinances like I was troubleshooting a faulty circuit. Turns out, trash cans on public right-of-way are personal property. HOA rules? They couldn't touch my can unless it violated visibility restrictions, which it didn't. By the end of the month, 4 cans destroyed, 20 hours of cleanup, and 2 kids questioning whether our new home was safe. The smirk on Brenda's face during her daily demolitions made it personal. Game on. By October, she escalated. Psychological warfare. Certified letters arrived, citing traffic hazards and 72-hour fines for violations that didn't exist. I cross-referenced city ordinances. My placement complied perfectly. I documented every violation with precision, cameras, and sworn statements from Mrs. Olivia. Meanwhile, Brenda went online, posting on Nextdoor about reckless neighbors. Then the twist. Complaints filed at City Hall at 2:47 a.m. All identical, all fabricated. My contact at the permit office, Dave, laughed when he saw the timestamps. Either someone's copying notes from sleep, or your neighbor's obsessed. By mid-October, Brenda's harassment pattern was undeniable. Each morning, she met my eye while ramming my trash can like a predator showing dominance. My response? Preparation, documentation, legal research, and most importantly, patience. Saturday morning brought clarity. Coffee in hand, I surveyed the battlefield. My driveway. Littered with fragments of plastic cans, each scar a trophy of Brenda's obsession. Emma and Tyler watched from the porch, a mix of fear and fascination in their eyes. "I've got an idea," I said, tone low, deliberate. "If she wants demolition, we'll give her a challenge she can't beat." Tyler's eyebrows shot up. "Challenge? You mean like a trap?" "Exactly," I replied, eyes narrowing. "But legal, perfectly legal, and nearly indestructible. Next morning, I rolled out my masterpiece. A 60-pound concrete trash can, steel-reinforced and immovable. Its sheer mass mocked her previous attempts. I lined the edges with motion sensors, cameras, and strategically placed reflective markers for documentation. Every angle captured, every approach recorded. Brenda arrived at 6:12 a.m., like clockwork. Her Escalade snarled down the street, engine growling, tires spinning with intent. She slammed into my creation. Thud, crunch, scrape. The sound echoed like a drumbeat of justice. She stopped, face pale, inspecting the indestructible object. For the first time, uncertainty flickered across her features. She backed up, circled. It approached again, like a predator testing a new prey. Nothing worked. Emma laughed, leaning on the window frame. Dad, she's actually stuck. Tyler joined in. We should sell tickets. I stayed calm, clipboard in hand, noting every collision attempt, every angle, every hesitation. This was no longer about trash cans. It was evidence. Every ramming attempt, every frustrated engine roar, every beep of her horn was a time-stamp. Entry in our growing dossier. By midweek, Brenda's obsession became reckless. She began filming herself, posting on neighborhood forums, attempting to garner sympathy for her tragic collisions. Neighbors watched with disbelief. Some filmed her, others whispered about her escalating behavior. Mrs. Olivia even started keeping a morning log. Meanwhile, I began connecting dots. Public records, HOA contracts, city permits, all pointed to Brenda's deeper motives. My research revealed Whitmore Construction LLC, a family business strategically positioned to profit from HOA contracts. The harassment campaign coincided precisely with my questioning of suspicious bids. I shared my findings with Patricia Lopez, the lone rational board member. Her eyes widened as I laid out the evidence. 7 contracts, subtle underbids, and undisclosed conflicts of interest. She's using the HOA to fund her family business, I said. Patricia shook her head, stunned but determined. The plan formed. A 4-pronged strategy: legal, social, political, and financial pressure. Jim Torres would monitor activity. Mrs. Olivia coordinated neighbor support. Patricia navigated internal board maneuvers. And I, Marcus Holloway, would continue documenting everything, turning Brenda's obsession into irrefutable proof. By Sunday evening, the community was rallied. Signatures collected, witness statements notarized, and security cameras fully operational. Brenda's morning routine had turned into a live recorded spectacle, proof of harassment, insurance fraud, and obsession. The concrete can wasn't just a barrier. It was a symbol, a monument to preparation, patience, and the inevitability of justice. And it stood immovable as the ultimate countermeasure against a woman who believed she could terrorize a neighborhood unchecked. Tuesday evening arrived like a storm. The community center parking lot overflowed. Cars lined Maple Street for 3 blocks, neighbors carrying lawn chairs, banners, and cameras. Channel 7 and 12, along with the Metro Weekly Reporter, had arrived to cover what would soon become a historic HOA showdown. Inside, the room was bursting. Seats meant for 40, now cradled 118 homeowners with others standing in the hall. Fluorescent lights buzzed overhead. AC barely coping with the body heat. Nerves palpable like static electricity. Brenda Whitmore arrived late, escorted by Harold Mastersonson, her attorney. Her signature navy blazer replaced with black face. Strained with anxiety, every glance toward the exit betrayed her panic. Gerald Thornfield, normally stoic, looked like he'd swallowed gravel, sweat soaking through his shirt. The meeting began. Harold's opening statement about disruptive residents was drowned out when Mrs. Olivia stood, voice clear, holding notarized witness statements. "Excuse me," she said calmly, "but which of us is committing insurance fraud and embezzling? HOA funds?" The room erupted, applause, murmurs, and the occasional laughter. 17 neighbors were ready to speak during public comment, each armed with documentation of Brenda's harassment, selective enforcement, and financial misconduct. 3 bankers' boxes of evidence sat beside the podium. Collision videos, contract analysis, GPS tracker logs, and security footage. Then came Officer Derek Martinez, stepping in like a scene from a courtroom drama, folder in hand. "Sorry to interrupt," he announced. "I have a warrant to serve regarding insurance fraud and stalking charges." Color drained from Brenda's face. Harold whispered frantically. Gerald looked stricken. Game over. I stood next, carrying my presentation boards. Every collision attempt, GPS tracker placement, spray paint vandalism, and fraudulent insurance claim displayed chronologically. Then the financial breakdown. $23,400 funneled directly from HOA dues into Whitmore Construction, 7 contracts, 7 conflicts of interest, all undocumented. The video compilation played, a 12-minute montage of Brenda's escalating obsession, set to the soundtrack of crunching plastic, scraping metal, and frustrated engines. Gasps filled the room, neighbors whispering, some laughing, others shaking their heads in disbelief. Then, the mic drop moment. I turned to Brenda directly. "Mrs. Whitmore," I said, voice steady, "you've spent thousands on lawyers, destroyed your $60,000 Escalade, committed insurance fraud, stalked my family, and stolen $47,000 from this community." The room exploded. Mrs. Rodriguez shouted in Spanish. Teenagers clapped, and cameras captured every reaction. Brenda jumped from her chair screaming about harassment, property values, and neighborhood standards. Mascara streaked, face red, hands flailing. Harold tried in vain to regain control. Gerald called for recess. No one moved. Patricia Lopez stood amid the chaos and made the motion everyone had waited for. Suspension from the board pending criminal. Investigation and financial audit. Vote 4-0 unanimous. Brenda abstained, handcuffed to Officer Martinez's chair. Justice served, concrete cold and publicly humiliating. The aftermath was swift. Brenda resigned, insurance licenses revoked, contractor certification suspended. HOA audit recovered. The $47,000 distributed back to homeowners. The district attorney filed fraud charges. Community healing began immediately. Patricia Lopez elected board president, implementing transparent financial reporting, public contractor bidding, and regular audits. The concrete trash can became a permanent display in the community center lobby, a symbol of citizen vigilance and resistance. The festival celebrating property rights, the scholarship fund for principled resistance, and my children's lessons in civic courage were the real victories. Our story spread statewide, inspiring other neighborhoods. David had beaten Goliath, but only through preparation, evidence, and unwavering persistence. The boardroom showdown was over, but the legacy of justice, community, and concrete-proof determination would echo in Pinewood Gardens for years to come. The dust settled, but the echoes of that boardroom showdown reverberated throughout Pinewood Gardens. Brenda Whitmore's world had crumbled. Yet the neighborhood was just beginning to reclaim its voice and its sense of safety. Within 48 hours, Brenda formally resigned. Her insurance license revoked, contractor certification suspended, and criminal charges looming. Her attempts to manipulate and intimidate were completely exposed. Homeowners, once frustrated and fearful, now celebrated transparency. Patricia Lopez, elected board president by unanimous vote, quickly implemented sweeping reforms. Monthly financial reports became standard, every contractor bid reviewed publicly, and mandatory conflict of interest disclosures were enforced. The community finally had a system to prevent future corruption. Lessons hard-earned from months of deception and harassment. The concrete trash can, once the target of daily collision attempts, became a neighborhood legend. It was moved to the community center lobby, bronze plaque and all, reminding everyone of the power of evidence, persistence, and strategic thinking. New homeowners were given a full briefing during orientation, and contractors often requested to see the indestructible monument that had brought down a corrupt board. Our personal lives transformed as well. Emma's college application essay, detailing her experience standing up to corruption with concrete evidence, earned her acceptance to 3 journalism programs. Tyler launched Suburban Justice, a YouTube channel chronicling HOA disputes, quickly gaining a following for his insightful reporting. Both children learned lessons about civic courage, critical thinking, and principled resistance that no classroom could teach. The community rallied together. We established an annual Concrete Can Days festival, drawing families from 3 neighboring developments each September. Bounce houses, BBQs, and educational workshops on property rights replaced whispers of fear and frustration. Last year's attendance topped 800, transforming trauma into triumph and resistance into celebration. Financially, the emergency HOA audit recovered $47,000. Every homeowner received a $170 refund check by Christmas, the sweetest gift Pinewood Gardens had ever seen. A scholarship fund was created from the settlement, awarding students who demonstrated creativity, courage, and problem-solving in the face of institutional challenges. To date, 4 students have benefited, with more applications every year. Even the legal precedent extended beyond our neighborhood. Holloway versus Pinewood Gardens HOA became a case study across Ohio, cited in 12 subsequent property rights cases. The state legislature passed the HOA Accountability Act, setting new standards for financial disclosure and audits, hailed as a gold standard for municipal oversight by insurance investigators. Media coverage amplified the message. Channel 7's investigative series won a regional Emmy, while reporters continued seeking expert commentary on HOA reform. My story inspired communities from Toledo to Cincinnati to take proactive measures, emphasizing the power of preparation, evidence, and unity. Personally, my business grew. Neighbors who had witnessed my strategic thinking and documentation skills became regular clients. Reputation and results carried far beyond HOA disputes. Methodical problem-solving proved invaluable in complex contracting projects. Sometimes David does beat Goliath, but only when David comes prepared, with evidence, allies, patience, and 60 pounds of steel-reinforced concrete. Pinewood Gardens had not just survived. It had thrived, and as we celebrated together, sharing stories, victories, and laughter. One truth remained clear. Injustice can be challenged, corruption can be exposed, and communities can heal. All it takes is courage, strategy, and a little bit of concrete. The legacy was secured. Justice wasn't just served, it was celebrated. After the boardroom showdown and Brenda Whitmore's downfall, Pinewood Gardens wasn't just quiet, it was reborn. The months of tension, harassment, and surveillance had given way to reflection, celebration, and purposeful rebuilding. The first sign of change was subtle. Neighbors who had once avoided eye contact during HOA meetings now greeted each other warmly. Conversations shifted from gossip about violations to ideas for improvement. Community involvement skyrocketed. Mrs. Rodriguez, who once timed Brenda's morning drives, now coordinated neighborhood watch shifts and volunteer cleanups. Teenagers from Elm Street, who had placed bets on collision outcomes, started designing posters and digital campaigns promoting property rights awareness. Patricia Lopez, now firmly at the helm, introduced initiatives that ensured transparency was more than a promise. Every contract was posted online before approval. Monthly budgets were reviewed in open sessions, and homeowners could submit questions that received detailed responses within 72 hours. Gone were the days of secret backroom deals and selective enforcement. Pinewood Gardens had a new standard. Accountability at every level. Our family embraced the change in powerful ways. Emma and Tyler became spokespeople for civic engagement. Emma's journalism projects highlighted local activism, while Tyler's Suburban Justice Channel grew into a regional platform for community advocacy. They understood the lessons I had tried to teach. Standing up for principles matters, documentation matters, and collective action is unstoppable when organized. Even small victories added up. The playground renovation, funded entirely by the recovered embezzlement money, became a symbol of resilience. Families gathered there every weekend, celebrating milestones and watching children thrive in a space built on reclaimed justice. The bronze-plated concrete trash can, now a permanent display, reminded everyone that one small act of resistance could spark systemic change. Financially, the neighborhood stabilized. The HOA audit returned misappropriated funds to homeowners, and operational transparency prevented any future conflicts of interest. Community trust, once eroded, was restored, and with trust came collaboration. New projects were proposed, voted on democratically, and executed efficiently. Pinewood Gardens wasn't just recovering, it was evolving into a model for suburban governance. Our personal lives flourished alongside the community. Emma's college acceptance and Tyler's growing online influence brought pride and purpose. The scholarship fund we established enabled ambitious students to pursue higher education, ensuring the next generation understood the value of civic courage. Meanwhile, my contracting business expanded through referrals and word of mouth, grounded in the reputation I had built through evidence, strategy, and integrity. Media attention continued to shine a light on our success. Local news, investigative, reporters and civic blogs highlighted Pinewood Gardens as a case study in overcoming corruption. The story inspired neighboring communities to audit their HOAs, investigate conflicts of interest, and strengthen local governance. Ultimately, the chaos of Brenda Whitmore's reign had created an unexpected gift, a stronger, more engaged, and more resilient community. Neighbors no longer feared harassment. They had tools, knowledge, and solidarity. The concrete trash can, once a symbol of defiance, became a symbol of community empowerment, a reminder that even small actions, when guided by principle and persistence, could bring about transformative change. Pinewood Gardens had learned an invaluable lesson. Accountability is contagious, courage is powerful, and justice, when pursued wisely, is unstoppable. And as we celebrated together, sharing laughter, victories, and future plans, one truth became clear. A community that stands together is stronger than any single obstacle, and every citizen has the power to protect what matters most. Even after Brenda Whitmore's departure, the lessons of Pinewood Gardens lingered like a shadow cast by the setting sun, persistent, steady, and impossible to ignore. The neighborhood had rebuilt, but vigilance had become a part of our DNA. The first weeks after the board transformation were surprisingly quiet. Patricia Lopez led with unwavering focus, ensuring transparency in every decision. Homeowners were no longer passive observers. They attended meetings, asked questions, and reviewed financial statements with scrutiny. Monthly audits became a standard, not an exception. And while the community celebrated, everyone knew that true accountability required consistent effort. My family embraced our new role as local watchdogs. Emma continued her journalism projects, documenting HOA reforms and profiling proactive citizens. Tyler expanded suburban justice, now featuring case studies, interviews with legal experts, and step-by-step guides for other neighborhoods facing corruption. Together, they inspired dozens of communities to take action, proving that one family's courage could ripple outward to affect thousands. The bronze concrete trash can remained in the community center lobby, a symbol of resistance and empowerment. Visitors often stopped, took photos, and asked for the story behind it. New homeowners listened intently during orientation sessions, learning about their rights and responsibilities before stepping into the HOA ecosystem. The legacy of defiance had become a teaching tool. But vigilance also meant anticipating new challenges. Minor disputes arose, as they always do, but with strong protocols in place, they were addressed fairly and transparently. Residents who previously feared retaliation now engaged confidently in meetings. When someone noticed irregularities in a maintenance bid, Patricia and the board immediately investigated and corrected the process. Mistakes were treated as lessons, not tools for abuse. Personally, the experience had reshaped me. My electrical contracting business thrived, not just because of referrals, but because I had proven that methodical problem-solving and integrity build trust. I often mentored other professionals on documenting projects, safeguarding property, and navigating HOA rules. Skills I had once learned the hard way. The community also discovered that healing required celebration. Annual events like the Concrete Can Festival and the playground dedication became more than parties. They were affirmations of what we had endured and accomplished together. Families laughed, children played, and neighbors connected in ways that strengthened bonds far deeper than casual greetings on the street. Legally, Pinewood Gardens became a reference point. Holloway versus Pinewood Gardens was cited in multiple cases across Ohio, shaping new HOA accountability standards and inspiring legislation like the HOA Accountability Act. Communities learned that clear records, collective action, and strategic documentation could prevent corruption before it escalated. And yet, the shadow of vigilance remained a quiet reminder. Power unchecked will always tempt abuse. Our neighborhood had emerged victorious, but only because residents refused complacency. Meetings continued, audits persisted, and communication stayed open. Every homeowner understood that rights were not merely granted. They were protected, nurtured, and enforced through awareness and action. In the end, Pinewood Gardens' transformation wasn't about one concrete trash can or one man's fight against a tyrant. It was about a community learning to protect itself, to trust yet verify, and to turn adversity into opportunity. We had proven that courage, preparation, and persistence could triumph over greed and intimidation. As the sun set over our now vibrant streets, I realized something profound. The legacy of resistance wasn't simply in the victories won, but in the culture of vigilance and empowerment that would endure for generations. Pinewood Gardens was no longer just a neighborhood. It was a living lesson in justice, transparency, and the enduring power of a community united.